No credit. No credit, Falcone. Whatever you say. But that is not going to be it for this round. We do have another match going on right now. It is Dethelor versus Hotmeowth. Hotmeowth, the representative from Panda Global, and Dethelor is a very avid member of the Greek Hearthstone community. And we are going to be coming into the very first game from these guys. Is that first series, it was 5 games, but it wasn't the longest 5 games I think we've ever seen. No, there was a lot of Pirate Warrior domination there. And then Prix just shutting down Pirate Warriors and other decks. Like it wasn't long at all. But there's Hotmeowth, Dethelor. This is a hard game to call. Both of these guys have a lot of prestige, a lot of tournament pedigree behind them. I particularly like both of them, just as people. Okay, that's good. So it's one of those games that I really don't want to call. I did say right at the start of the tournament that I had my eyes on Dethelor to win the whole thing. So I think I have to go with him for this one. All right, that's fair enough. I'll go with Hotmeowth. He hasn't had a fantastic finish since his America's Championship victory last year, but he has proven in the past that he can be very consistent. He can put up good results. I think he can do it again. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue with you that Hotmeowth is a good player. We just saw him in the finals of the Hearthstone Global Games, along with his team, with Firebat and Amnesiac. They were just a very, very strong team. And also HCT performances, BlizzCon, you know, all of that stuff. Hotmeowth has made the rounds. He is one of the most notable players in this tournament. He's got a lot of pedigree. But if we're talking how long these players have been in the scene, Hotmeowth is still, I guess, a relative newcomer. It's been a little bit more than a year for him, whereas Dethelor, I feel, has been a name for several years now. Yes, Dethelor has been around for a long time. It was a good couple of years ago now that he was on Fate to Karma with me. He's been on Millennium. Well, he's on Millennium now, rather. We can see that right in front of us on his jersey. He's done a lot of stuff. He's not, I don't believe he is full-time Hearthstone. Okay. I believe he actually has a job and does all the other things as well. You mean he's an actual adult person? He's an actual adult person, unlike most of us here. So he has to balance a lot of things, juggle things together. So I would give Hotmeowth the edge, really, very, very slightly. But honestly, this could go either way. It's a close one. I know I just said I've given Dethelor the edge. Now I've just said I'm giving Hotmeowth the edge. But I'm so unsure. You're swapping. No, I absolutely agree. This is going to be a close one. We're going to have to see exactly what these two have chosen to pick and ban. What their lineup strategies are. Of course, banning Druid is most popular now in this tournament, but we have seen some success where, for instance, Tars did not ban. So let's go ahead and just get right into the first game, Dethelor versus Hotmeowth. And it's going to be, I believe, mutual Druid bans for both players because we're not seeing Druid on either of these lineups. So Hotmeowth, Warrior, Shaman, Priest, and Dethelor, Warlock, Priest, Warrior. I'm actually a little surprised with all the Warlock that we have been seeing. Yeah, me too. Pavel had great success with it at HCT Europe, but still, it didn't seem to stand out to me as the most popular choice. No, and actually against the Priest, there's been a lot of discussion about this. I believe that the Priest is favored, the amount of burst potential that it has. The reason that Warlock used to be so favored against Control-y Priests was because the Warlock had Jiraxxus and could just outvalue the Priest by living forever. Now, Priest isn't about value. Priest is about just bursting down the opponent with cards like Velen and just, as we just saw, dealing things like 25 damage, 24 damage, whatever it was, in one turn. Jiraxxus is obviously entirely useless. Goldan is a little bit better, but I still would give the Priest a slight edge here. You know what? That being said, when you open 2 Mountain Giants and your opponent only has 1 Shadow Word Death in their deck, that's not bad. I'm happy with that. And you've also got 2 copies of Twilight Drake in this build, and those have been absolutely pains for the Priest to deal with since Classic Hearthstone. On the flip side, Dethelor also has the coin, and if you can remember back to the handlock days, no, you cannot coin out Mountain Giant. That is not a good play. Do not try that. And it just sets back when you can actually play Mountain Giant. You can't play it on turn 4. Rather, you can play it on turn 4, but you have to do something funky with the coin. Mortal Coil does help out with that a lot, actually. Yep, now you are getting a 3-mana Mountain Giant effectively, so you can choose to Mortal Coil after, or Voidwalker. It's the turn 2 or the turn 3 that gets awkward, because you can't, like, without the coin, you can go tap, tap,
Mountain, tap, 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 Mountain Giant, go. But on the coin, you can't do it because you end up burning a card. You can throw it away, but then it slows down the Mountain Giant. Mortal Coil fixed the problem perfectly. And there's Blood Reaver Gul'dan.
3 mana, 8/8, go. You can just throw down your Voidwalker as fodder to guarantee the resummon with Blood Reaver, but I think it's almost guaranteed that this will be coming down at some point. Maybe you can find a more useful turn for it where it actually disrupts some damage.
Funnily enough, bringing back Voidwalkers with Blood Reaver Gul'dan actually ends up being one of the most important things because the taunt is just vital later on. It's sort of like N'Zoth. When you summon a N'Zoth board, the taunts are the vital ones because they keep you alive for that one extra turn. Against Priest, it's not as important, which is a good thing because Hotmeowth can actually prevent Voidwalker from coming back to life by Potion of Madnessing it away and sacrificing it himself.
The Warlock also has one new tool from Knights of the Frozen Throne. Well, they have several new tools, but one in particular that is very good against the Priest, and that is Despicable Dreadlord. So it's a 5 mana 4/5 demon that at the end of your turn deals 1 damage to your opponent's, 1 damage to all of your opponent's minions. Now, at first glance, it seems like, okay, 5 mana 4/5, it's a Yeti with a Whirlwind attached, but it is a repeatable Whirlwind effect. And then when you bring 2 copies of that back with Blood Reaver Gul'dan, well, that's like an immediate consecration.
Yeah.
Plus 4 attack is still very difficult for Priest to get through.
It is.
So the Warlock does have some very nice tools against the Priest, but ultimately, if Hotmeowth can get through the 2 Mountain Giants, the 2 Twilight Drakes, the initial demons, and the resummon, Dethelor will be out of resources. It's a lot to do, but it is possible.
It is. Just look, you kind of want to say it's turn 5, just dropping down an 8/8 seems pretty good. 5 mana 8/8s are fine. Just ask Bittertide Hydra. Having it without the downside is fine as well. What is Dethelor afraid of here?
Especially when you have so much time against this Priest build. But at the same time, do you?
What about Mountain Giant, Coin, Shadow Bolt, and trade in the 3/6? Like that'll yeah, looks like that's the way he's going. Oh no, Earthen Ring. Okay, gonna just keep his 8/8s as healthy as possible. That works as well.
Dragonfire can still come down this turn and kill Earthen Ring plus a Mountain Giant with the Kazakus trade in. But as we've said before, there's only 1 copy of that in the deck. So I think it is right for Dethelor to take some of these risks because if it pays off and Hotmeowth doesn't have the removal, then Dethelor is getting through for 16 damage next turn.
Yeah.
That's ending the game before he ever has a chance of playing Shadow Reaper Anduin.
And it's going to end up being exactly the same if he did go with the play I described and play the Shadow Bolt rather than the Earthen Ring. He'd have still lost 1 of the Mountain Giants. It means he wouldn't have lost the Earthen Ring because it would still be in the hand, but he would have used up the Shadow Bolt.
I think it ultimately comes down to Shadow Bolt as a more flexible tool.
Yeah, and it can be used a little bit better later on. Blood Reaver Gul'dan is in the hand already, so Dethelor shouldn't have to worry about healing, at least the small amounts of healing that Earthen Ring Farseer gives you. Actually not going to go with the Dragonfire Potion this turn, though. Going to go with the Kazakus Potion.
But when it comes down to it, so if this game does go the duration, both players have their Death Knights equipped, and you have Blood Reaver Gul'dan's hero power versus a 0 mana Anduin hero power, Anduin usually wins out.
Yeah, well, it's funny because 1 hero power from Gul'dan kind of does 6 because it heals 3 to you, deals 3 to your opponent. So the effective change is 6. So that would mean that Hotmeowth would have to use his hero power 3 times to catch up with that. The reality is, a Priest using the hero power 3 times is very, very easy, very, very likely, and will happen almost every turn.
Yeah,
which is why the Priest hero power does tend to win out.
Plus, the 3 damage pressure from the Warlock hero power isn't usually incredibly relevant if you get down to that point, because the Priest will then have dealt with most of the board from the Warlock, and they're usually left with removal resources and just the hero power.
It's just crazy. Like, the Priest one can be used as many times as you want. It costs 0. And
I could use the Warlock one as many times as I wanted. Oh, you bet I'd be playing this deck more often.
Hey, if you could stick Prophet Velen in your Warlock deck, then you'd probably be playing it more often as well. There are a lot of things that the Shadow Reaper Anduin has going for him.
And even still, Blood Reaver Gul'dan, he's the most expensive Death Knight card. He has the most efficient hero power for the mana cost.
Yep.
Still not good enough to beat Shadow Reaper Anduin most of the time. But with the Giant getting through for an attack and Hotmeowth sort of struggling now for what to do to be able to counter this, Dethelor's looking pretty good. He's got a Drake in hand, he's got Blood Reaver Gul'dan, he's got some countering resources to kill minions.
Ooh, Potion of Madness, plus Dragonfire Potion, plus trade into the Mountain Giant as one-off.
You're absolutely right. You can take the Zealot, it would deal 6, and then Zealot can go in, but you're still hurting for one more damage on the Mountain Giant. Very close. Kind of makes me think, should Hotmeowth have played that Dragonfire earlier instead of the Kazakus Potion?
Mm-hmm. Because now he, wow.
Well, the Kazakus Potion would have not made as much of an impact in the late game. I think you'd rather have 5 damage to all instead of a random polymorph, but you would have put 3 damage on this Mountain Giant.
Well, yeah, I mean, this turn, if he still had the Radiant Elemental as well, he could actually paying the Tainted Zealot, Potion of Madness, the Voidwalker, trade that in, and then play the Potion, which would polymorph the remaining Mountain Giant. So, yeah, okay, you could argue that if he did do it the other way around and just Dragonfire Potion earlier, then he would be able to clear with this.
Hindsight's 20/20, but the Dragonfire is a more impactful card than that Kazakus Potion was. So Hotmeowth was absolutely correct to keep it. Just turns out that it would have weakened up this Mountain Giant a little bit and made it easier to kill.
Is there a clear we miss? No, it doesn't look like there is. He is just going to be 1 damage off of getting rid of it.
You can set up for a Holy Nova next turn.
Yep.
You're taking 8 more damage in the meantime.
Dethelor just gets to sink an extra 8 in here, gets to develop the Twilight Drake as well. This is just like Handlock versus Priest all over again. And actually, Dethelor's making it work. Jiraxis or no Jiraxis, it doesn't matter. There's no Raza yet from Hotmeowth, no Shadow Reaper Anduin. We say the Priest usually wins, but it does need those cards. There's that Dreadlord card you were talking about.
It's a good one. It's definitely one that you want to resummon with Blood Reaver Gul'dan. Does that mean you want to play it and get it directly killed by Doomsayer? No. No, I do not think it does. Especially since Hotmeowth only has 5 cards in hand, and you know that Highlander Priest has a lot of anti-aggro tools that will not be effective against your deck.
Then again, on turn 10, when you're playing Blood Reaver Gul'dan, you'd rather it was dead than in the hand.
You would. So,
the thing is, he can easily play it next turn. Okay. Oh, no, it can't come down this turn. The mana doesn't quite add up. Okay. I was gonna
Can confirm. Yeah. The mana does not quite add up. But this is likely the best target you'll get for Spellbreaker. And developing this turn, after having seen Dragonfire Potion and the Kazakus Potion, 3 health minions, kind of hard to deal with. Blood Mage, Holy Nova, but you saw Holy Nova come out as well. Every board that Dethelor makes now is going to be pretty resilient until Shadow Reaper Anduin comes down.
Hotmeowth, do you want to discard your hand? No, no, Greater Healing Potion? Yeah, that seems good.
Would you like to freeze random enemies? Would you like to gain 12?
Well, actually,
play it safe.
The freezing random enemies card probably isn't that bad in this deck. You're playing so many cheap spells. Priest plays more cheap spells than Rogue these days.
Okay, I'm going to paint you a picture. Raza, Shadow Reaper Anduin, Demented Frostcaller. You don't even need to kill any of the minions because they're all permafrozen.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dethelor, assuming he wants to play Blood Reaver on turn 10, you would want to get Despicable Dreadlord down this turn. And the resummons at this point would be limited to just the Despicable Dreadlord if it dies, and the Voidwalker. We haven't seen Abyssal Enforcers yet. So what do you value more from Blood Reaver Gul'dan? Getting it down when you know that you've played the majority of your demons and you're going to have a huge board swing? Or getting it down early and just being able to take advantage of the hero power?
That's so hard. That's such a hard
call to make.
Because I think both are important.
Both are incredibly valuable against Priest.
Dragonfire Potion is gone. Kazakus has been used up. There's only so many board clears left for Hotmeowth. Yeah, he has the Pint-Sized Potion and the Shadow Word Horror.
Yeah. But that's pretty much the only full clear left, other than Shadow Reaper, but only that targets 5 and above.
At the same time, I think it deals with everything that Dethelor gets back, because no Abyssal Enforcer has been played yet. It wouldn't deal with that.
That's accurate.
So maybe now is not the time. He wants to draw Abyssal Enforcers as soon as possible if he wants to play around those cards.
But this board is still more threatening than the board that would come back from Blood Reaver Gul'dan.
Oh, no. Okay.
I mean, it is. This board is more threatening than the 1-3 and the 4-5.
Yeah.
So Hotmeowth, there's only one copy of Blood Reaver in Dethelor's deck. Maybe he doesn't have it right now. Maybe Hotmeowth gets a little bit more time. Kind of just has to hope that he does, because right now his resources are really ill-equipped to win in this matchup. But now does Dethelor even have to play Blood Reaver cooldown? I think he can start to get a feel for Hotmeowth. You know, he doesn't have Shadow Reaper, doesn't have Raza. They likely would have come down if he had them. Maybe he can afford to take a little bit more time, but this is by far the strongest play he can make this turn. And even with only 2 minions coming back, still really good, considering you've seen all of the clear from Hotmeowth.
You said it perfectly yourself as well. The 4-5 is hard to deal with. Only 2 spells remaining in Hotmeowth's deck. Spirit Lash, Greater Healing Potion. They're not going to be dealing with that 4-5 in a hurry. Greater Healing Potion's okay, though, I guess.
At this point, you would like to have played Elise to get a pack, to have some more resources. Hotmeowth just has had a very different game than the final one we saw from Zalay in the last series, where he had an absolute abundance of resources. Was able to utilize Acolyte, Novice Engineer, Loot Hoarder, Kazakus Potion, all very efficiently to draw as many cards as possible. Hotmeowth's situation has been a lot less lucrative.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Still, there's been a lack of Raza and a lack of Shadow Reaper Anduin.
A startling lack of Raza.
In the recent few games that we've witnessed. But, I mean, you only run one of each card.
Yeah.
They're both legendaries. You can only run one of each card.
Shambler on a 4-5 is just about as resilient as it gets against a priest that has already used Dragonfire Potion.
And Pint-Sized, and Shadow Word Horror. There's no... And Kazakus. There's no clear way of getting rid of these cards.
Well, Velen is an important piece of the combo, but ideally you draw that after you already have played Raza and Shadow Reaper.
Sort of just the third priority.
Yeah.
Right?
You kind of go ABC. This is C.
Of course, there is the amusing interaction with Spirit Lash with Velen, where it actually deals 2 damage and actually heals you for 4 per minion. But it's not the matchup where that matters. If it was a Pirate Warrior, then great, yeah, play those 2 cards together. But you actually kind of need the damage from Prophet Velen here.
Do you have to go with it? So Velen, Spirit Lash, Holy Smite, you can heal yourself up to full, clear off the Dreadlord.
Okay. Velen dies now, though.
Yep, Dethelor's got 2 copies of Siphon Soul in the deck, spell damage plus Shadow Bolt. A wealth of ways to kill this. You can also just Hero Power and trade off your damaged Galactic Crawler.
Yeah, that seems like possibly the best way of doing it.
Depends on how much damage Dethelor wants to start being able to push.
This is not a good position for Hotmeowth to be in. He needs more cards. Even if his next 2 draws are Raza and then Shadow Reaper Anduin, he's not got enough cards to get those hero powers out.
Okay, well, I think that for Hotmeowth to have a chance, I think this card would need to be Shadow Reaper. Thankfully, Dethelor's minions are low on life right now, so perhaps if Hotmeowth got Shadow Reaper here, buy himself an additional turn or 2, and then he can start to, even at 2 mana, get some of these minions off the board. And a lot of the resources that Dethelor has left are anti-aggro resources. Defile, Doomsayer, Mistress of Mixtures. Not very useful against Priest in the late game. So there is a series of draws that gets Hotmeowth out of this. It's just tough.
Unfortunately, that's the one Lyra spell that he's going to get this game.
It's not a bad one. If you're going to get a Lyra spell that you can't play, that one's okay. But you'd probably rather have Free from Amber. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anything more impactful.
Even a Dragonfire Potion, just something that clears up bigger minions.
If it's not a cheap spell that you can play immediately, you want something that does a lot. And Holy Nova, sort of middle ground.
There's that Shadow Bolt finally being used. Hero Power dealing with the 3-3. We just hit the face. Is this going to be Shadow Reaper Anduin? No, it's not. It's going to be Blood Mage Thanos, which does allow Hotmeowth to clear the 4-3.
All right, so as far as draws go, this was not the worst one.
But he now has 1 card in his hand. How is he going to get anything done with Shadow Reaper Anduin?
In that case, maybe at least the Trailblazer and an Ungoro pack are the next series of best draws.
He needs a very specific sequence of draws here.
But at the same time, the pressure from Dethelor is Abyssal Enforcer and his hero power.
Hero power itself is a lot of pressure. There's Raza. Okay. 1 out of 2.
We were saying before that if it comes down to it, and both heroes have been transformed into their Death Knight altars, Shadow Reaper Anduin usually has the pressure to close out the game faster, but when you've been Blood Reaver Gul'dan for this long, dealing 3 damage for this many turns, and you're still at 30, it's a very different scenario.
Yeah. Twilight Drake is just another big threat the Dethelor can put out. Can hero power the Raza and finish it off with... He's not spoiled for choices of how to deal with it. He can play both Defiles, I guess. Hellfire works as well. Yeah, then Twilight Drake, okay. Hotmeowth only has 13 health left. It's getting a little bit scary.
A little bit. I'm terrified if I'm Hotmeowth, especially since Curious Glimmerroot can't get you that many impactful cards now.
There it is. He found it.
Well, better late than never, but is late good enough? As you said, no resources left for Hotmeowth to even combine with the Shadow Reaper. But Dethelor's running a little low too. After this Drake is gone, the only impactful aspect of Dethelor's deck is his hero power. But importantly, Hotmeowth has been shut off from his healing. And he did not take that greater healing potion off of the Shadow Visions, but I do believe the first one came off of Cabal Courier, so he may still have one left in the deck.
Okay. Let's see what he can take from Dethelor.
Well, I don't think it's Clutch Mother. We're not playing Discard Zoo last I checked.
No.
That would be a surprise.
Mortal Coil...
It's actually a really good pickup.
It's a cheap spell.
You Crawler, you hang the Twilight Drake, Mortal Coil it, you draw a card.
Hotmeowth's deck isn't looking that thick anymore, though. Novice Engineer's good as well.
Is he running Elise, the Trailblazer? That's my question now.
Pretty vital. He needs anything that generates a lot of cards. Now is Lyra's time. It's time to draw Lyra. Imagine if he could have played the Mortal Coil with Lyra on the board.
Yeah, it would have been nice, but there's still no guarantee that he would have gotten cheap spells off of it, and Dethelor will have the kill on it every single time.
Yeah. It's funny what a 3 damage hero power can do for you.
Oh, there's a great pickup.
Hotmeowth down to 7.
Dethelor just going to keep dealing 3 damage every single turn. Hotmeowth down to, I believe, 3 cards in the deck.
Okay, now we knew that was there.
So, hero power the Abyssal, Novice, hero power, greater healing, hero power. Abyssal's gone, and now you're at a safe life total.
Hotmeowth just doesn't have enough cards left in his deck. He would have drawn... Oh!
Depending on what the last cards are, if it is Elise, he may have the resources.
Why not draw first, though?
I mean, you're killing this Abyssal every time anyway.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant. They're both out of cards. Dethelor is going to be left with more cards in hand, but they're cards that don't do anything.
This is so interesting. Again, the magic number for Dethelor is 6. Well, once he's taking damage, the magic number is 6. And in the meantime, it's 3. Hotmeowth needs to be dealing 3 per turn.
No, okay.
That's not an Elise.
No Elise in the deck. Acolyte of Pain is certainly not going to do it for Hotmeowth. So though it ended up being a lot closer than I thought, if that last card had been Elise, then I think Hotmeowth actually might have had it.
Slight different scenario. If Shadow Reaper Anduin was like,
you know,
anything between
10 cards earlier.
Yeah, like anything between 20 and 7 cards earlier, something like that, then I think Hotmeowth would have just won that game straight.
And you know what? That actually, I think, is a good illustration of, on paper, Priest is favored in this matchup ever so slightly. I tend to think the Warlock has a better chance, but if you do go ahead and take that early Gul'dan, you haven't played a lot of your demons, you don't get that big board swing, you can be run out of resources pretty quickly.
All right, so Hotmeowth switching over to the Pirate Warrior. He's had enough of playing against Control Lock.
We had one 20-minute game. Let's not go there again.
Let's end this and end it fast.
Either way it goes. The only healing in Dethelor's deck, he's got the Earthen Rings, he's got Siphon Souls, he's got obviously the natural hero power from Blood Reaver, and the Gluttonous Ooze essentially is going to be a heal.
Is very good healing in this matchup, yeah. Not only is it going to heal Dethelor, either somewhere between 3 and 5 usually, but also going to heal him whatever damage he doesn't take from the rest of that weapon. Acidic Swamp Ooze really is a card that heals you. Gluttonous Ooze just overdoes the healing.
He overcompensates.
Yeah.
But the rest of the hand from Dethelor, slim pickings right now. Defile's a great addition, but you would have liked to have had Mistress of Mixtures, Voidwalker, Mortal Coil, Shadow Bolt. Those are the early game interactions that he's really looking for.
What does Hotmeowth do now, though? Does he play both 1-drops, or does he coin out the Cultist? Coining out the Cultist is awkward because you're not buffing the weapon. At the same time, it's stronger against Defile.
I think I'm playing the 1-drops.
Okay.
If you lose this board, you're not really upset.
Just 1-1-drop is, sure, okay.
It's an awkward start for Hotmeowth. The Fiery War Axe would make this hand significantly better.
Hotmeowth testing the waters, I guess, by playing 1. It's kind of weak to Mortal Coil, though.
It's a bit of a middle ground. If you had Mortal Coil in Dethelor's hand, you would have seen it last turn. It would have come down onto the South Sea. So you can get a read that's probably not there. Dethelor can Mistress and Defile, go ahead and get 4 health right away. Or he could just Defile and play the Mistress after.
Defile is such a weird card to play and a weird card to play against. It's so easy to be too greedy with it, but then sometimes you can get heavily rewarded for being greedy with it. He's doing a lot of counting right now. He's trying to consider the possible outcomes. Another thing he can do is hold on to Mistress of Mixtures. If Hotmeowth was to play something with 3 health next turn, he can play Mistress of Mixtures with Defile later and clear the whole board as a result. But no, he goes with the safe play, the much less greedy route, and does exactly what you just said.
It's actually a really good point, because the Pirate Warrior health curve goes 1 health on all of your early game minions, to 3 on the Captain and Corsair, and then 4 on the Cultist and Frothing Berserker. So if you're able to bridge that gap at the 2 with Mistress of Mixtures, essentially have a clear on everything they've got going up to turn 5.
Mistress of Mixtures is such a strong card against Pirate Warrior. Just the fact that it's going to eat up a weapon swing or something, plus heal you. There are actually a lot of healing cards in Warlock nowadays. They finally reached the point where they don't need Antique Healbot in order to be controlling, or Reno Jackson. Dethelor really playing this nice and slow. Is it Gluttonous Ooze time? Gluttonous Ooze plus Mistress of Mixtures would mean that Dethelor can actually heal past 30 health, which always feels good against Pirate Warrior. But he could maybe hold out an Ooze and Arcanite Reaper, something Zalay didn't do earlier.
So usually, with Gluttonous Ooze, if you're in the position to consider oozing Fiery War Axe, then maybe you're just dead by the time Arcanite Reaper comes out.
That's the thing, but
Dethelor has some liberty here.
Yeah, he's counting so much. You can see him on the fingers there. This is great to watch. But nope, playing it safe. Again, just like he did with the Defile play.
This is the strongest board state he can make, and he wants to challenge upcoming boards from Hotmeowth because he doesn't have Hellfire in hand. He doesn't have Defile now. The only interaction he has with Hotmeowth's minions are his own minions. So if Hotmeowth plays Frothing Berserker, for instance, Dethelor has a really clean clear with Despicable Dreadlord and the Ooze on board.
How does Dethelor deal with this?
Well, that's a good question.
It's a question with no answer at the moment, I think. So that was a little bit unfair of me, but
I think it's just Dreadlord and go.
Yeah.
This challenge is on board after the 1 damage comes out.
At least Dreadlord's dealing 3 damage to Hotmeowth's face every turn now.
Yeah, 5 mana, 4/5 at the end of the turn, deal 3 damage to your opponent that's a pretty strong card. But yes, you will, if Siphon Soul isn't picked up, have to trade the Dreadlord and the Ooze off if Hotmeowth leaves them there. So Hotmeowth can protect his Hydra with an Arcanite Reaper trade onto the Dreadlord next turn. And his Hydra can start to get some work done. Put him on the payroll. He's doing work.
All right, right, Hotmeowth, no choice. Got to start trading. He can't be feeling good about this game and this series, this overall series as we go on.
Oh, if I'm Hotmeowth right now, I'm feeling fine. You've got green skin to come out on your Reaper. You've seen Gluttonous Ooze already, and your Hydra got in for 8. Yeah, I'm feeling okay. If you see Life Tap here and Siphon Soul doesn't come out immediately, you're looking all right.
I'm starting to think I'm too down on Pirate Warrior, because there was a similar situation earlier with when I was casting Noxious, and I was like, oh, I wouldn't like to be the Pirate Warrior right now. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's got all that damage.
Got damage for days.
And then the Pirate Warrior did win, so I think I need to just learn my lesson and never say that the Pirate Warrior
It's very difficult to count a Pirate Warrior out of the game.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
I'm trying too hard to do that.
I know, you want to bully the face decks, Falcone. It's okay, we get it. You've been hurt one too many times. There are support groups for that.
More than one too many times. But yeah, you're right.
Bible Thump.
6-2 Arcanite Reaper's looking strong. Bittertide Hydra still looking strong. Dethelor was on the other end of this exchange earlier. He was the one attacking with the 8-8, and now... Abyssal Enforcer doesn't quite do it. One more mana and Abyssal Enforcer would be okay, because he could trade in the Gluttonous Ooze and the Mortal Coil down the rest of the Bittertide Hydra. Is there any way he can just win this turn? No, he's got 9 damage. Because double Mortal Coil on the Bittertide Hydra is kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's a good point. Can you tap for Defile? And then double coil Defile is still only 12.
Yeah,
I don't think you can set up a. No, the most you can deal is 4 hits to the Bittertide, even with Defile off the top. But that's some of the interesting interactions that you have to look for now with Warlock.
It's really weird. I've just been sat here quietly trying to count, saying, okay, what if he trades the Gluttonous Ooze here and Mortal Coils this? Maybe then Defile does more damage.
Like if Ooze went into Bloodsail and then like you double coiled South Sea and tapped for Defile, you'd still only get 3 hits onto the Hydra.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not enough. That's cool to think about.
Is he going to play the other one as well? No, just the one. So it's not quite lethal just yet.
Well, Hotmeowth has 8 plus 6, 14. There's 15.
All
right, so...
All right, I was wrong. Pirate Warrior is still a good deck.
It's a good deck, Falcone. Sweet potential right now seems strongest with J Druid, which we haven't seen yet because everybody bans Druid. Highlander Priest, which we just saw a reverse from Zalay, and Pirate Warrior, which is just...
I'm going to try this all weekend. Every time we've gotten to turn 8.
Give Garrosh the benefit of the doubt.
Now, every time we've gotten to turn 8 and there's a Pirate Warrior playing, I'm going to start saying, yeah, I wouldn't like to be the Pirate Warrior right now. I'm probably going to be wrong every time. But, you know,
Falcone.
I'm all about consistency. Anyway, 1-1 for Hotmeowth and Dethelor. Next up, it's going to be Hotmeowth on the Pirate Warrior again, and Dethelor on the, I believe it's Warrior or Priest.
The deck he best believes can counter this Pirate Warrior. If it's a Highlander Priest with an anti-aggro mindset, then he can be okay. But nope, he's going for the Mirror. Okay.
Okay, that doesn't bode well for the other matchup. Once again, much like with Zalay earlier, he's decided to play the Mirror rather than play the Priest. Does that mean he doesn't run Galactic Crawlers and Gluttonous Oozes? In Zalay's case, it did not mean that. So. But
you only run 1 copy of those cards, whereas you run 2 copies of Fiery War Axe and 2 copies of Korkron. You can deal with your opponent's early board state really efficiently with the Axe and then just burn them out.
It's one of the things that players didn't like about Strike formats, something that popped up a little while ago and started seeing some play, is that players seem to think that they are better in the mirror than their opponent every time, and so in Strike format you see a lot of mirrors. But that's partly why Dethelor would have picked this. He just believes that he can out-smork Hotmeowth.
Well, the Mirror for Pirate Warrior is a little bit more intricate than I think people give it credit for, because there is a lot of minion trading interaction in the early game. Like, look at this. Dethelor could have gone face for 3 and put himself on that damage plan from early on. He kept Korkron and Arcanite Reaper in the opening hand. He's got to upgrade Heroic Strike. He has a lot of damage right now in a vacuum. But it's more important to clear off Bloodsail Raider, South Sea Captain, Bloodsail Cultist, if he can, and then get the damage through guaranteed from his own minions. So there is a degree of having to sacrifice damage in the early game to ensure that your opponent doesn't get it in the form of repetitive minion damage.
And obviously drawing patches doesn't feel good.
No, it never helps.
So a lot of work for Dethelor to catch up this game.
A lot of the players we've seen today really need to define their relationships with patches. What do they want to see from this intricate pirate-person relationship? And I don't think it's drawing them.
It's because Pirate Warrior isn't strictly the best deck at the moment, and it doesn't seem to be the second best deck either. Like, people have very much agreed that it's all about the priest and the druid. So Patches is just angry.
He feels left out.
Yeah.
He's like, no, 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 Anduin, I'm in charge. This is unacceptable. We've forgotten his face, and now we are subjected to this. But Dethelor's choice to hold on to the axe charges, paying off in spades for him. He's going to get nice trade on the Bloodsail Raider.
Radar?
Bloodsail Radar. Yep, I've got my Bloodsail Radar activated, and I think I need to hold on to this Fiery War Axe.
You know, pirates and technology like that doesn't seem to...
I don't think we'd see pirates...
synergize?
Actually, you know what? We would. Pirates on a ship, ships have radar. There you go.
Okay. Don't they have, like, a compass instead?
Modern pirates. Be so...
Are these modern pirates?
Piratist.
I'm sorry.
He says they aren't. These look like technologically advanced pirates to me.
If it's like a goblin radar, it probably just blows up. Anyway, there's the game happening.
Yeah, but up until this point, it is just the back and forth, trading minions effectively with your weapons, and Dethelor has had the weapon advantage in the early game because he had the Fiery War Axe. Hotmeowth didn't. So now Dethelor's minions are going to be more resilient, able to get through for more repetitive damage, and Hotmeowth may just have to go for the Smork plan. But turns out he's pretty well equipped to do it.
Yeah, Bittertide Hydra once again. It's proven to be one of the MVPs of Pirate Warrior today. Bloodsail Corsair is pretty great in this matchup. Obviously, putting up a 0-mana 3/3 taunt is good against a deck that just wants to hit you in the face over and over again while you're trying to hit your opponent in the face over and over again. But Dethelor may need to deal with this somehow. Heroic Strike on its own is enough.
I think...
But that doesn't allow him to do much else this turn.
No, it doesn't. You can drop the Corsair Heroic Strike to kill the Bittertide and the Hero Power.
Yeah.
You get through for 3, you put another body on the board, and you're still ahead on the board. That's the important thing. Yes, you take 8, you go down to 18, but you've got a taunt minion in the way. You've got 6 power represented on board, and you're following up with Arcanite and Kor'kron, right? You're still looking pretty decent. I think I'd make the kill. It's either that or put out the Corsair and hope that it soaks up the damage from the Hydra.
Yeah, I mean, you develop Kor'kron lead as well this turn, and this way you actually deal damage to the face. You're pressuring your opponent a little bit more.
And then you can go Arcanite, Heroic Strike. Arcanite next turn for 5, Arcanite Heroic Strike for 9 on turn 7.
Actually kind of awkward for Hotmeowth. Oh no, now it's not. Okay, so it was awkward because the only weapon he had in hand was the Arcanite Reaper.
Well, it's still not great. War Axe goes in, Hydra kills something else. You're taking 6 just from killing the Corsair and letting the Hydra take damage. That puts you at 13. Dethelor's got 8 next turn with the Arcanite and the 3-attack minion that lives. Most likely it's the Bloodsail Cultist.
And the downside to Bittertide Hydra is very realistic as well here because Sassy Deckhands deal 3 damage and N'Zoth's first mates, Rusty Hooks, deal 3 damage. And if Dethelor needed that last little bit to get through, like suddenly most cards in his deck actually deal 3 damage or more. None of them deal 1.
What's Hotmeowth's plan here? He can go face for 10. Put Dethelor at 16. But can he kill him next turn? It would be...
Dethelor's got 16 damage. Oh, no, he doesn't. He doesn't have the mana for it.
No, he has 7 on board and the Arcanite Reaper for 5. So he's got 12. And then Hotmeowth next turn would have, if the Hydra's not killed, 8, and then Kor'kron upgrade is an additional 5, plus the 3 from the weapon attacked, so 16. Yeah. All right, so if Dethelor doesn't kill both minions, Hotmeowth's representing lethal.
Or armor up.
Yes.
He can do that. It's awkward because he wants to play the Arcanite Reaper this turn 100% of the time, which means armoring up is not realistic.
So if Dethelor plays the first mate in Heroic Strike and Hero Power, for instance, he goes to 18, and he has 12. Because Heroic Strike and the Rusty Hook is the same amount of damage as the Arcanite Reaper.
Yep.
So do you push the damage, set your opponent to 6, and then hope that they don't have it? Might be your only shot. I think you got to kill the 2-1 at the very least. Yeah.
Because now Dethelor's not dead, despite not armoring up.
Well, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, 15.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Because it was exactly the same as armoring up and
Yes.
leaving everything alive, right? So, oh.
No, 8, 9, 10, 11,
Well, now it's lethal.
15, 16 with the upgrade Corcoran. No, it is 16.
Oh, okay.
Because Corcoran upgrade is 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, no, it's 16. I counted right the first time. Hotmeowth got it if he doesn't armor up and he kills the 2-1.
Yeah, right. So even before armoring up
Yes.
on its own wasn't enough. Well, now it definitely is with Heroic Strike regardless. There's so much more damage down now. Hotmeowth takes his second game in a row with Pirate Warrior. Now Dethelor did sweep with his Pirate Warrior earlier. Are we going to see him get a taste of his own medicine now as Hotmeowth does the same thing? Dethelor's going to have to play as Priest.
Seemed like Dethelor had the better Pirate Warrior start with the Fiery War Axe. That did mean he took some damage in the early game from the minions that Hotmeowth developed, and it ended up being enough. There were actually a couple of really interesting turns there in the last couple of turns where these guys really needed to calculate exactly how much damage is it realistic that my opponent has. And do I win more often by going face and ignoring it and hoping they don't have it? Or can I afford to trade and still finish out this game? That's what I mean when I say Pirate Warrior mirrors are a lot more intricate than people give them credit for. That one was tough in the late stages.
And I was saying this morning, I believe Jade Druid mirrors are equally difficult, especially because Spreading Plague adds a lot of extra layers. How you
if you're running Plague Doomsayer, things get weird.
Exactly. But all of that, I think, Cora, is entirely irrelevant. Because the name of the game is Last Priest Standing, and Dethelor is still the last priest standing. He just needs to beat two decks with Priest, and that's not impossible. Stonehill Defender, though, maybe this is an indication that this is a less anti-aggro Priest.
Well, we still see Doomsayer. There's a Holy Smite. Dethelor's got a really good start. If he can pick up a Gluttonous Ooze, then I think that's pretty much all you could hope for.
Important thing about Stonehill Defender, actually, in Priest, is that it now has a good target in Obsidian Statue.
It does.
A good Priest minion, I should say, which is going to pop up a lot. The Tortillian Shellraiser is also going to pop up a lot because of the extra benefit you get from being a class card with a Discover.
Tortillian?
Tortillian? Wait, how do you say it?
Tortolin.
Tortolin.
Yeah.
That is just right. And I'm just wrong.
No, I like it. It's got some flair.
Tortolin.
Tortillian. It sounds fancier.
I dislike your British accent.
That's because it's horrible. It's absolutely awful.
Say subtle for us.
Subtle. How is that any different than how you said it?
Okay, Grandma.
Shush. Been typecast as a grandma before. I won't do it again, Falcone. So Dethelor in the early stages will need to just efficiently clear Hotmeowth's minions as much as he possibly can while protecting his own precious, precious life total. And we see one of the preemptive Doomsayers yet again. Very similar situation as to what we saw earlier.
It's just a great way to spend the card. Hotmeowth can't do anything this turn except hit that Fiery War Axe in. If there was a Heroic Strike, yeah, he could use it, but he doesn't have anything on the board, so it would be just a complete waste. That Doomsayer just forces Hotmeowth to do nothing, and now Dethelor can curve into Stonehill Defender. And although I said that card's an indication that maybe it's not such an anti-aggro card, when your opponent only has a Fiery War Axe on the board, it doesn't deal with this very well.
Maybe it actually indicates the opposite.
Maybe it does.
A 3-mana taunt that can give you a taunt to play on 4 is pretty anti-aggro. Or you could just take a really good 8-drop.
It's weird that I looked at that as a value card, actually. Shows how much I'm used to Tyrion's popping out.
Well, Stonehill normally, I think, would be used as a value card. But in this case, it's not doing too bad of a job this way either.
Primordial Drake, one of the better anti-aggro cards you can get as well from Stonehill Defender, although there is the risk of not surviving until turn 8 to play it. I love watching Dethelor's mouse, by the way, whizzing around the screen as he's doing all of the counting. He's a
like, how much is this attack again? Is it still 2 mana? Okay, great.
He's a very
just checking.
He's a very animated player. The whole of Team Greece were animated during the Hearthstone Global Games as they communicated with each other and shouted at each other. But even just watching him playing on his own, whizzing the mouse around, whizzing the mouse around, using his finger to count things, I just find it very interesting to watch.
And you know what? Team Greece got off to a rough start in the Global Games. Dethelor's gotten off to a bit of a rough start in this series. It's possible that, like Team Greece, he could bring this one back. We could have another 3-2 victory like we just saw with Zalae versus Mess.
Yeah, they didn't win, though, did they, Cora?
No, they didn't win. They did a good job.
They didn't win, though, Cora.
Dethelor
wants to win. It's not a good comparison to draw right now.
You know what? And them not winning lit a fire, and now he's even more drive.
Okay, I'll take it. Priest of the Feast plus coin plus Holy Smite is something that could be useful a little bit later, but Holy Smite doesn't do enough right now. Radiant Elemental plus Holy Nova plus Holy Smite is playable now, but it does mean getting rid of the cheap spells and weakening Priest of the Feast later on. You'd have to use the coin, obviously, as well if you play those cards. Looks like that's what he's gonna do.
I don't think you have the liberty of waiting to combine these cards with Priest of the Feast. Otherwise, you will have just taken the damage that you could have taken off of the board this turn. So you end up with the same result, except one way there's less of a board to face.
The other good thing here is that Radiant Elemental is one of those cards that your opponent does have to deal with.
Yeah.
As I say that, we're about to watch Hotmeowth just go face with everything because he has so much damage.
Well, you've got an Arcanite War Axe. So
Arcanite War Axe, I like it.
When you're just representing lethal for the next turn, is this 2-3 really very threatening?
Unplayable Potion of Madness is not good with Priest of the Feast. Is that just the end?
That's it. Priest of the Feast can't come down with anything. Hero Power puts Dethelor to 9. And unfortunately, this will not be the Greek comeback that Dethelor was hoping for. Hotmeowth looks like he's going to go ahead and take this one. Does Dethelor see anything that we don't see?
There is something very poetic about this. We saw Dethelor win 3-0 with Pirate Warrior earlier. Now we've seen Hotmeowth sweep Dethelor with his own Pirate Warrior. Hey, the deck is still strong. Did you know?
You know what? I had my doubts, but no more. Pirate Warrior is just as formidable as it always has been, even with 0 new Knights of the Frozen Throne cards. The deck itself is just so powerful. So, Hotmeowth gonna take a 3-1 victory over Dethelor, putting Hotmeowth at a 3-1 total record for these 4 rounds of Swiss. Dethelor going to 2-2, much like Mess. He's not out of it yet, but he kind of needs to win out from here if he wants to be able to make the top 16 cut.
I'm so sad and I'm so happy all at the same time. It's much like when Ray C beat Dr. Jiki Ninki. Oh, it's
a rush of emotions.
Just a mix of emotion.
I know. I'm sorry, Falcone, but one did have to win and one did have to lose. And this time it was just Hotmeowth's series. They both played incredibly well, but by banning Jade Druid consistently, you're kind of disregarding the power that Pirate Warrior has as well. Yes, Druid and Priest are the top 2 decks in the format right now. They're the 2 decks that you look at and you kind of cringe and you're afraid that they're going to take the sweep. But at least Pirate Warrior just run out and do pretty much whatever it wants.
And hey, Tars did ban Pirate Warrior this morning.
Maybe Tars is on to something.
I haven't had a recent update as to how Tars is doing, but I can't wait to catch up with him and see if his mad strategy has actually paid off.
Well, maybe we'll get to see him going forward, but that is going to do it for Swiss round number 4. We're going to be getting into round 5 just as soon as these brackets are updated and the pairings have been posted. So don't go anywhere. Round 5 of the DreamHack Montreal Hearthstone Grand Prix coming your way.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to DreamHack Montreal 2017. We are currently near the Place Bonaventure where the venue is located, and right next to it where the players and the production staff are currently sleeping, or not currently, but overnight at the very least, the Hotel Bonaventure. So this is where they spend their nights. This is where they get to rest and recover between the grueling sets of games that they're going to be playing. Now, not all the players at the hotel, not every single member of the production crew is with us because they're inside the area. Now, I didn't have to worry too much this morning about what I was going to do since I reside in Montreal, and that is the reason I am your welcoming committee. On this note, I urge you to get inside and check out the venue, for within are all the games that you so love. Welcome to DreamHack 2017, Montreal. I don't usually eat chocolate. Well, this is good. That was actually really good, but that was amazing. I want to go back. Hi, can I bother you for 2 more chocolates? Yeah. This is where all the Hearthstone players will be disputing their matches, engaging in friendly Hearthstone rivalry during the 3 days of DreamHack Montreal 2017. All the players are getting ready to get their next matches to see who will come out on top at the end of the event.